2-point perspective Imagine Architecture, once you've completed the drawing portion of it, you are then moving into adding the shading. And once we finish the shading, we're going to then be adding some pen work on top, redefining the edges to make everything really sharp and crisp and have nice emphasis. So yesterday you should have completed the shading portion. On my example, I created my light source coming from the top right, which would give my planes 4 different values moving from light to dark. And I've got this section shaded, and now what I'd like to show you is how to add in the pen work to finish it up. What I'm going to be using is just a cheapo Bic stick pen. Whatever kind of pen you've got at home will probably work. I try to make sure that it's not a pen that has like a really runny, liquidy ink to it. That will tend to smear when it's wet before it dries. So just really the cheapest kind of pen you have actually works best, that little roller ball style. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through and connect to my vanishing point on one side, and I like to hold my pen there and then rotate my ruler and hold it there each time as I rotate my ruler out. That way I can make sure that my lines are all coming from the correct vanishing point and that I don't accidentally shift or tilt them as I'm completing this last portion of the drawing. So I'm just going to rotate, and each diminishing line that I get to, I'm going to add that in. I like to do all of the lines going to one vanishing point first, then I can add in, I can do all my verticals. Now I'll go ahead and do my other vanishing point lines. There you go, and you can see how quickly that just adds back in a lot of nice definition and sort of structures the planes in what direction they're facing and gives you a really nice division between those. You do want to be really careful that you don't overdraw, because once you are working in pen, the pen is permanent, so pay very close attention to where your lines start and stop. I also wanted to show you some ways you can experiment with doing the shading on your windows. So I've gone ahead and done a really small, simple example. If you did windows where you didn't draw any of the interior portion, like I did on mine, you just did flat windows that you want to give them the appearance of glass, you can shade those in. You can shade them darker than the plane that they're on, or you can shade them a little bit lighter. And then one thing that I thought works pretty good is if you add a couple of diagonal lines in pen, that'll give it the look that it's sort of a glossy glass window. You can even go through, if you have a nice sharp eraser, you can even go through and lift up a little bit of the color of your colored pencil and add some streaks in there too, and that will also help give it some of that defined glossy texture.